Greetings from India. My name is Jayasri SRIDHAR and I am pursuing my undergraduate degree at the National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad. I would like to thank the Pivot Committee for this wonderful opportunity to present my paper titled Linguistic Integration in India, a persistence of hegemonic paradigms or a step towards coexisting pluralities. In January, I witnessed a peculiar exchange between a 10-year-old boy and a design college student during my fieldwork in Gujarat. This boy, whose mother tongue is Gujarati, says to one of my batchmates in Hindi, "You are very mean. Do you know why?" She says, "Pray tell," and the boy replies, "We have to learn your language, but you don't learn ours." She is taken aback, then responds, "My language is Telugu. Will you learn it?" This is Ranakpur, the site of our fieldwork, and this is where my Telugu-speaking batchmate is from. While she uses English for most purposes in college, the common language used to interact with the villagers was Hindi. Do notice how the scripts vary on the Google map according to the regional languages. This was the incident that triggered my thought process on the one nation, one language paradigm in India. My line of inquiry was this: what goes behind the attitudes of perceiving a language as yours or mine? And can we have an our language? Would a common tongue serve to bridge our pluralities or undermine diverse worldviews? These questions crystallized into the aim of bringing in subjective perspectives in order to understand why Hindi is considered hegemonic, why English is preferred by non-Hindi speakers, and what the implications of both these languages are for the plural worldviews in India. I place this inquiry against a backdrop of complex developments since the colonial period. I shall be very brief with the background. India, as I'm sure we're all aware, is a tremendously diverse country in terms of language, and Hindi is just one among them. It is spoken by 43% of all Indians, as per the census of 2011. Even this figure might be an exaggeration, as 49 dialects have been grouped under Hindi, some fighting for recognition as independent languages. Even if it is spoken by a large number of people, this is not a majority. Several non-Hindi speaking communities have resisted the propagation efforts and expressed a preference for English, besides of course their mother tongue. A brief history of the development of Hindi and English would be helpful in understanding these attitudes towards them. English education was introduced by the British in order to spread Western ideas of civilization in the subcontinent. Post-independence, states were reorganized on a linguistic basis. Hindi was declared the official language of the Republic, with English as a co-official language until 1965, after which Hindi would become the sole national and official language. But 1965 saw widespread protests from non-Hindi regions, which brought about a major change in the nation's language policy: the indefinite continuance of English as a co-official language. Why did English seem more favorable than Hindi, an Indian language? Perhaps we could reframe the question here. What is an Indian language? Can the multiple indigenized and locally enriched ways and forms of speaking English not be considered Indian? Even if we were to denounce English today as a cultural remnant of the colonial period, could Hindi step in and become a pan-Indian linked language? As we saw from the instance, Hindi does enable speakers from two different contexts to communicate in a common tongue, but at the same time generates resentment. What are the implications of this potential lingua franca for the plurality in India? How do English and Hindi impact ground-level realities? The cases of both these languages in post-colonial India have been studied at a broader political and sociological scale. This is the larger debate within which I locate my work, which is a localized study in Ranakpur, village of Gujarat, involving semi-structured conversations and interactions through a 10-day period. Data was collected in the form of subjective perspectives through conversations. I present just a few examples of the same and the observations. One woman retrieved a wedding invitation printed in Tamil she had received years earlier when she learned that I could read Tamil. She said this had come from your country, using the word Tamaru Des, literally meaning your country. That a language and a script so different from her own exists was a source of fascination and immense excitement to her. This brought out the beauty of the pluralism in India. Another man said, "You are big people, you speak English," suggesting that English connotes prestige and invokes a certain grudging awe. ABCD पढ़ते हैं. They study ABCD, a man glows with pride looking at his children, again showing us how English education was a status symbol. A mother expressing her helplessness over how her daughter is always listening to Hindi songs and shows no interest in their folk music illustrates how a dominant culture overtaking the intangible living culture of the village is seen as a matter of concern. Another man said passionately, "How does it feel when a family member suppresses you, an elder brother? Isn't Hindi a part of the Indian family of languages? Isn't every other Indian language supposed to be its equal? English is not, so it is justified that we cannot equal it." This analogy for insider versus outsider also highlighted the issue of internalized colonial mentality. The broad inferences drawn from the study regarding the selective acceptance of English are the following. English is seen as a language of power and opportunity. It is a matter of pride for the villagers that their children are studying English at school. The various indigenized ways of speaking it mean there is no right or wrong English. It has not become yours or mine, unlike Hindi. Hindi is seen as born of Indian soil, thus ideally and equal to every other native language. This perspective holds that English deserves the tag of being better because it is an import. If Hindi is imposed in the same hegemonic way as English was by the colonizers, it argues, how can it be considered any better? These subjective insights from the village demonstrate that it all boils down to an assertion of identity. In a country where every language is as good as any other in principle, and unity lies in diversity, voices at the grassroots level go largely unheard when policymakers push the integration paradigm. The localized study thus starkly highlighted that this insistent hegemonic narrative is what shapes the way people at the ground level with unique cultures perceive languages.